Welcome to the Drop Table Team's Minimal Increment demonstration for the Foundations of Software Engineering course for Fall 2019. This demonstration will be in similar structure to our Skeletal Increment demonstration and consists of the same major parts. The different parts will be discussing the new features and functionality that our team has created, discussing the design revisions that we needed to make while we were actually coding the Minimal Increment functionality, in contrast with our design document that we submitted, a demonstration of these changes and features in action, and lastly, we're going to talk about the remaining functionality that our team needs to add for the target increment demonstration, or basically the full game of Clue. So first up, we're going to talk about the new features and functionality that we added. Our team has added a lot of new features and functionality since our skeletal increment demonstration. One of the most significant upgrades that our team has made is for the message handling logic. We've added classes for our clue message, our detail clue message, and our contents map creator. A clue message is basically one of the building blocks for our messaging architecture. It's used for things like game state updates, and each clue message has its own ID number. This allows for easy handling of the messages. Each clue message also has a type: broadcast, response, command, or request. These different types are sent to different classes for handling, and they could be like classes like our broadcast transmitter or our response builder. We also have detail clue messages. These are basically messages used for more complicated data types like hash maps, and we use things like detail messages for dealing cards. Lastly, we have a contents map creator, and that's a class that shows the message definitions and their IDs. And the contents map creator can be seen here. This is detailed out in our design document. As you can see, our detailed message definitions, and all of our messages are displayed here with their ID numbers and what their contents will be. We've also made significant updates to our GUI. We've added functionality for the detective notebook, and we've also allowed for basic player movement. Both of these features will be seen in our demonstration later on. We've also implemented basic game logic. We've allowed for things like card dealing, players joining the game thread, as well as starting the game. And this is handled on both the server and the client's game board. So that's it for our functionality that we've added. Now we're going to talk about the design revisions that we needed to make to get there. While implementing our minimal increment demonstration functionality, our team realized that we had a lot of updates that needed to be made to our design document while we were coding it. So some of these design revisions would definitely be inside the game logic, where we realized we needed a lot more methods and variables added in order to create the functionality that we needed. This will be things like extra arrays and extra methods, especially down towards the bottom here, where there's things like the listen for messages and receive clue messages. Our team also had to create an entirely new message that was not in our original design document, and that was down here, which was a player join response message that we had not originally accounted for. Luckily, using our message handling logic, it was very easy to implement this. And so next up, we're going to give a demonstration of the new changes and features that our team has created. Okay, so now we're at the part of the video where we will be demonstrating the actual functionality that our team has added for this increment. So the first thing we do is we start up our server. So by hitting the run button, we can see that it is now started. Now we can open up a few clients. So let's open like 3. Okay. So here are our clients. So our basic GUI layout has changed since our skeletal increment. So we have our chat messages that you can say something like hello. You can see that that is reflected down here in our console. You can see our communication from the client UI and the game board. You can see the game log, and you can see the last messages that were sent. So you can see our message IDs here that I mentioned before on our message definitions chart. And over here you can see our detective notebook that's been added. So on the left here, you'll see that that's the player that you've been assigned, and these are uncheckable, and that's for a very specific reason that I'll mention in a minute. The rest of these are checkable, and you can see that it is filling in the detective notebook that each player has. So you can see I can edit some over here too. And so we can simulate some code stubs here for our movement. So you can see we have logic in here to show where the character is and where you can move to, like the possible move choices. We also have the buttons in here for our suggestion and accusation, though we need to implement some more game logic before those will actually function as intended. So you can hit OK, and we're simulating some random movement here with our characters. But the general player movement functionality is there. So the next thing we can do is, since the maximum number of players in Clue is 6, we can add 3 more clients. And so when we do this, the game will automatically start and cards will be dealt. So this is where the left side of the detective notebook is important, because this simulates the actual cards that the player has. So since there are 21 cards total in Clue, and 3 are taken away to be the case file cards, or as we call them, the murder cards, there are 18 left, and since there are 6 clients, that means each client gets 3 cards. So you can see here that we have randomly assigned all of our cards here that have been dealt out, and there will be no duplicates. And so with that, you can see all the messages that were sent, as well as the cards being dealt message here at the end. And that kind of wraps up our functionality demonstration for our minimal increment. And so the last part of our minimal increment demonstration video is to discuss what remaining functionality that we're going to add for the target increment demonstration, or basically what the full game of Clue will look like. So we have some stubs in there right now, but we need to really handle suggestions in their full entirety, and that will include like the back and forth communication between the client, the server, and then the disproving client. We also need to handle accusations in the same manner, and we want to create a more clean movement structure and a more general flow of the game. But as it is, most of the functionality is there and like the bare bones of the whole game. And from here on out, it's just adding that little bit of extra stuff and then a lot of cleanup work. So that's the conclusion for our minimal increment demonstration, and thank you for watching.